For example 4, finding the x-intercepts, also same thing as solving for x. We see that we have it in standard form, but we have a y equals instead of a 0. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that off and just make it equal 0. Okay, still solving the same thing. So in this case, this is just x factor. So 1 times negative 40 is negative 40. And we're trying to get to negative 3. So the factors of 40 that could get to negative 3 would be 5 and 8. Okay, and I'm going to go with a negative 8 because 5 minus 8 makes negative 3. If I multiply, I get negative 40. So then I write it in factored form. And then since it says equal to 0, I want to solve each one. So x plus 5 equals 0. And x minus 8 equals 0. So here, if I subtract 5, x is negative 5. And here, if I add 8, x is 8. So my solutions are negative 5 and 8. So in part B, mark out the y equals, set it equal to 0. Do 1 times 20 is 20. And we're trying to get to negative 21. So I could use a negative 1 and a negative 20. A negative 1 times negative 20 is 20. If I add the two together, I get negative 21. And so my factored form is x minus 1 and x minus 20. So then I set each part equal to 0. So here I could add 1. X is 1. Here I can add 20. X is 20. So 1 and 20 are my two solutions. Okay, for example 5, it says cross products. So cross multiply to find x. So first I would say x times x plus 2. And then 4 times 2 is 8. I would distribute my x, so that would be x squared, and then 2x. But I still don't have this in standard form, so I want to move this 8 over and make a 0 there. So if I move the 8 over, it becomes negative 8. And then I would say, okay, 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. And I need to get to 2. So I would use 2 times 4 can make 8, but let's make this a negative 2. Because 4 minus 2 is 2, and 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So I would have x minus 2 and x plus 4. Then I set each part equal to 0. So x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0. So here I would add 2 to both sides, and x is 2. And here I subtract 4 from both sides, and x is negative 4. So my two solutions are 2 and negative 4. Sorry about the bell. For part B, I would still cross multiply. And say x plus 6 times 6 and 2x times x is 2x squared. So distribute. And then this one, to get this by itself, I have to subtract the 2 and put it in front. But if I do that, it gives me a negative 2. And I haven't dealt with the negative 2 before for my first number. So what I would do is I would set this side equal to 0 and move these two terms to this side. So it would look like the 2x squared stays. And I would move the 6 over, becoming negative. and I move the 36 over and make it negative. And then I see that each one of these numbers is an even number. And so I would divide all of those numbers by 2. I'm going to go ahead. Alright, so right before I paused the video, there was a bunch of commotion because the bell had just rung and kids were coming in, so I do apologize. So let's continue on. So first of all, I realized that there were the numbers 2, 6, and 36, and they were all divisible by 2. And so I want to take that GCF out. And if I divide that out, this would give me x squared, a negative 3x, and a negative 18. So then I could x factor this part here. So that would be 1 times negative 18 is negative 18. And I'm trying to get to negative 3. And so I would use 6 and 3, where 6 is negative. And so that would give me x plus 3 and x minus 6. So now when we do a problem with the GCF equals to 0, you set each part of this equal to 0. So you would say 2 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, and x minus 6 equals 0. This is obviously not true. 2 cannot equal 0. So that's false. Then I could solve for x here by subtracting 3 and getting negative 3. I could add 6 here and get that x is 6. So my two solutions would be negative 3 and 6.